Now in this video we are going to clarify the concept of different relational or comparison operators in Java. Now there can be different type of comparison. For example, you may want to compare whether the left hand side is less than the right hand side or not, or you may want to compare whether the left hand side is less than or equals to the right hand side or not, or the other way, whether the left hand operands or left hand value is greater than the right hand side or not, or greater than equals, something like that. I'm pretty sure that you are all familiar with these symbols and the usual meaning of all these first four symbols, like less than equals, greater than, and greater than equals, from either your previous mathematical background or your some of your real life examples. So the meaning of all these operators are exactly the same in Java also. However, along with these usual comparison operator, Java supports two more, which basically compares the equality between the left hand and right hand, and the non-equality between left hand and right hand operators also. But anyway, let us try to clarify the concept of each of these operators with a demo Java program. Now, in order to show you the demo, let me introduce two different variables of integer type. Let's call it int var1, and I'm assigning the value of 5. Then let me introduce another variable called var2, and I'm assigning 2 inside this one. Okay, so now let us take another example, another variable of type boolean, which is going to store the result of different type of comparison between this var and var1 and var2. So remember again, so first let me write it down. So I am interested to compare whether var1 is less than var2 or not, something like that, and I want to store the result inside this result variable. So remember, as I discussed earlier, this, whenever you write something like this, var1 less than var2, how Java works is Java starts reading this thing from the left hand side to right hand side, and if the usual meaning of these left hand operands holds true, then it returns true, otherwise it returns false. For example, here basically in this example it is checking the value of var1, that is 5, is less than the value of var2, that is 2. So now just check whether it is okay to say 5 is less than 2. Does it make sense? Well, no, this is not going with the usual meaning of the less than operator. It does not make sense to say that 5 is less than 2. That is, the left hand is less than the right hand side. So since it does not make sense, you can expect this one will result in false, and false will be stored inside this result variable. So let us write down this result. So system.out.println and result. So here I am printing the result just to see whether the value of result is now false or not, because 5 is less than 2, it does not make any sense, because actually 5 is greater than 2. So let me just run this, and as you can see that false have been printed. Now let us see the other way. Now let's say 5 is var1 greater than var2. I just changed the changed it from less than to greater than. So now Java program will read it as the value of var1, that is 5, is greater than the value of var2, that is 2, or not. So 5 is greater than 2. Well, it makes sense, and that is why this time it should return true. It should be evaluated to be true because 5 is actually greater than 2, and that's why it will be evaluated to true, and the result will be stored inside this result variable. So now if I just run it, let us see whether true is printed on the screen or not. And as we can expect, that true have been printed. So always remember, the meaning of these operators are exactly same as your usual life or normal mathematical concept, but Java just reads it from the left hand side to the right hand side. The usual meaning, compare the left hand side and the right hand side with the usual, based on the usual meaning of the operator, and if that makes sense, then it returns true, and if it does not make sense, it returns false. Let us see another example. Let's say var1 greater than equals. So I'm just adding an equal symbol. This time Java program will read it as whether 5, that is the value of var1, is greater than or equals to 2. Let's say equal to 2. So whether 5 is greater than or equal to 2. Well, that also makes sense because 5 is greater than, and well, since this statement is makes sense, uh, then it should return true. So let me see whether it again print true or not. So run it, and as you can see, true have been printed. But whenever you changed it to less than, then Java will just read it like, well, 5 is less than or equal to 2. Now this time, as you can see, 5 is neither less than nor equal to 2. So that is why this will return false, because it does not make sense. So false will be stored in the result, and that will be printed. So let us see whether false is printed here or not, and let me run this Java program. And as you can see, that this will also result in false. Well, it is taking a little bit time, and false have been printed. Now let us focus on the last two types of relational operator, which are these equals, this double equals symbol, and which basically checks the equality between the left hand side and the right hand side, and the last one, that is not equals, which basically checks the non-equality or inequality between left hand side and the right hand side. Well, I'm pretty sure that you are all aware of the concept of checking whether left hand side is equal to right hand side or not, or whether left hand side is not equal to right hand side or not. You are all aware of this concept, but may not use these specific symbols for that in your mathematics or in your life. So let's clarify the concept with this Java program. So uh, here let me just change this greater than equals to this equals. So the meaning of this equals symbol, how the Java will interpret this statement is whether the value of the left hand operand, that is 5, then is equal to or not, is equal to the right hand side operator, to the value of the right hand side operator, that is 2 or not. So it will basically check whether the value of var1 is equal to the value of var2 or not. And if they are equals, then it will return true, and if they are not equal, then they will return false. And well, here 5 is actually not equals to 2, right? And that is why, as you can expect, it will store false inside this result and it will be printed. So for example, if I just run this, as you can see, it printed false because 5 and 2 are not equals. Just the opposite thing is being done with this not equals operator. It will basically check this not equals operator. Java program will read it as whether the value of the left hand operator, that is 5, is not equal to the value of left hand operand or not. So what does that mean is it will return true if the value of var1 is not equal to the value of var2. That is, so it will return true if 5 is not equal to 2. Well, which makes sense. 5 is not equal to 2. So if I just run this one, then it will return just true. As you can expect, it returned true. It printed true as a result. So these two operators are just opposite to each other. The first one checks the equality between left hand side and right hand side, and the second one, and this one basically checks the inequality between the left hand side and right hand side. And also you can check this example. Let's say somehow you got the value 5 in both var1 and var2. So what do you think? What should be the value of var1 not equals var2 now? Well, both the values are same this time. So the inequality checking should return false instead of true because 5 equals 5. So if I just run this, as it is expected, it is returning false. Just for the same reason, if I just change it from not equals to equals, this time the value of both var1 and var2 are same. So equality checking should return true as expected in here. So this is all about different type of relational and comparison operators in Java.